Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Don Mafia Report, your daily dose of Buffalo Bills and NFL content Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. EST. Shout out to my boy Jay. He's wondering where I was. Have no fear. I was just warming up my coffee because we have an extensive episode today. We have a lot to unpack, okay? We saw an injury report yesterday. A couple of players listed as do not practice, some limited participants, some guys I think that we're all crossing our fingers and hoping should be good to go by week 2 against the New York Jets this Sunday. Plus, we're going to unpack an attack plan for the New York Jets. Did we really see the real New York Jets team against the Pittsburgh Steelers, or was this yet again another example of it's week 1, right? And the Pittsburgh Steelers defense was rusty going out there. We're going to find out. And I actually ended up looking at a couple of ways I would like this Buffalo Bills offense to attack this defense and vice versa for the Buffalo Bills defense. Maybe even an excuse as into why Buffalo seemingly struggled as bad as they did against Baltimore this previous Sunday. And granted, I want to give Baltimore all the credit in the world. I think to this day, I think that they are, by and large, one of the best offenses in the NFL as far as a personnel perspective is concerned. So I'm not sitting here running around like the sky is falling just yet. If, for example, we get 30 to 40 hung up on us by the New York Jets, then maybe we'll be having an entire different conversation next Monday. But as always, guys, listen, I love coming live Monday through Friday and hanging out with my friends. That's right. I consider you guys to be my friends. All I ask is that if you enjoy this show, whether or not that you use it to get by your work day or whether or not that, you just have it in the background while you're going about your day-to-day responsibilities, all I ask is that you just hit that thumbs up sign for me. It's the easiest way to show love, and it propels this out to the YouTube algorithm so more people can discover this show and chop it up about the Buffalo Bills on a daily basis. 90 people in here already. Let's make sure that's 90 like buttons. And as always, guys, let me know where you're tuning in from, right? How far does Bills Mafia truly extend? What corner of the United States, what corner of the globe are you tuning in from? I'm talking to the lurkers as well. Several of you just like to watch the show. Maybe you don't contribute in the chat very often. That's completely fine. But just this one time and one time only, let me know where you're tuning in from. Let's go on ahead and lock it in. Folks, I got to tell you what, I crafted up a perfect parlay for this evening. I'm not even lying to you. I'm high on the Washington Commanders. I really am against that Green Bay Packers secondary, if you will. And I have put together one that I think is probably going to hit tonight. Let me know. And of course, as always, if you guys have any must hits, right? Like must picks, parlays that you know for damn sure are going to hit, always send them over to me on X because I'm always interested. I have Deebo Samuel absolutely going off for 46.5 receiving yards. The yak capability by itself, especially against a questionable secondary over in Green Bay, I really like that pick. I have Micah Parsons, no sacks tonight either. Why? Because he's not going up against a statue quarterback this evening. He's going up against Jaden Daniels, who we know, all right, is very shifty behind the pocket. He's going to make plays right through that. So I am saying no sacks for Micah Parsons. And last but not least, I have Jaden Daniels over 46.5. $10 would win me $66.40. Guys, say, for example, I was ballsier. I could have went on ahead and added about 4 or 5 more legs, and I could have seen a 1,000x return on my parlay. However, I'm playing it a bit safe. If you guys want to take advantage of Sleeper, the link is in my description. They're matching 100% of your first deposit all the way up to $100. As always, share me your wins. Share me your parlays. Let's ride and make a little cash this season, baby. NFL is right around the corner. All right, let's go on ahead and also take a look. And so at our injury report, that's going to be the first topic that we unpack today. And roll call in the chat, folks. Where are we tuning in from? Do not be shy. We have Sirens 08, $5 donation. Thank you so much. Dan, I honestly think that the Jets are the toughest team the Bills will play until the bye. The Bills can start a long win streak. Also, I'm from Illinois. Sirens, dude, you know what? I don't hate that take. I really don't. We've seen, even in week 1, how close divisional rivals play each other. Like, who would have thought that a Browns team where everybody is projecting them to win max 5 games this year would have played Cincinnati as close as they have? Or who would have imagined that the Dallas Cowboys would have been making the Philadelphia Eagles sweat for as long as they did this previous Thursday Night Football? It's a divisional matchup. It's always something that we need to look into. So that's kind of where I'm at. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look, guys. Roll call in the chat. Let me know where you are tuning in from. We have Broken Arrow, Oklahoma in the house. RIP Charlie Kirk and go Bills. Yeah, man. I'm not going to lie to you. That video visibly disturbed me yesterday. Visibly disturbed me. I couldn't sleep last night. I don't think that anybody should have seen something like that in their life. It continues to break my heart knowing that his wife and his children were there to witness that as well. I'm not going to lie to you. It really, really affected me. And like, prayers up, man. Like right now, like I think this world like needs Jesus. I think that they need to turn to Christianity, because like some of the reactions I saw like online, like just like pure celebration, like folks, like that's just demonic. Like that right there is just pure. It's purely. And so I was at a loss of words. So I think that was probably the one thing that kind of made me feel still the most down last night, was just seeing like troves of people celebrating. Like that just broke my heart. It really, really did. Rest in peace indeed. Good morning, Dan and the Mafia. What's up, Mafia? Washington, D.C. area. What is going on? Are we concerned about the New Jersey Jets? We're going to get there. We're going to get there, man. Be patient. Be patient. Henry's just a monster. Everyone would have had a hard time. Run defense was better against Hill and others. Exactly. I would not use the Baltimore Ravens offense as a measuring stick to this defense. We're going to unpack what I think was the problem with the Buffalo Bills, but here we are. Adam is coming in. I like it when you wear the Atlanta hat, man. You know what? I'm having a good hair day today. Don't worry. The Atlanta hat will be back. Jamestown, New York's in the building. Hurley, New York. Chattanooga, Tennessee. El Paso, Texas. Buffalo, New York. From the Bronx. Buffalo, New York. Missouri. New York City and JA17. We trust. Port Charlotte, Florida is in the building. Catalina, Italy. Buffalo, New York. Coleman, TD. Kent Island, Maryland. Question: when will we know if Curtis Samuel is a healthy scratch again? I'm curious what's going on with that situation. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe Curtis Samuel is going to be on the trade block at one point. I think that might be a question that we're looking at. Buffalo, New York, Josh Allen Rush, Nashville, North Carolina. Down the way in Buffalo, New York, Arkansas is in the building. Palmer, hey, what's going on, Sal Shorts? Hope all is well. Buffalo, New York, Josh Allen's in the chat. What's up, dude? Hope all is well. Richie said the Jets are going to belt to ass on the Buffalo Bills this weekend. I think you're stirring up some drama. I don't recall / I have not heard he said that. Tonight we will see on the AFC East roundtable. Let's see what we got. Football is just a game. We love the game, but it's still just a game. Love your family and try to be better humans. As a Christian conservative, infantry combat vet, it's a hard day. RIP Charlie Kirk. Yeah, dude, listen. And so I can only imagine like what has been going through a lot of people's minds, like from seeing that. Like people like weren't meant to see a video like that. It's pretty tough. Biloxi, Mississippi. What's going on, man? How you doing? Hell of a casino down there. I'll tell you what. Vancouver Island, Canada. Massapequa, New York is in the building. I'm sorry that seeing that affected you that negatively, Dan. Dude, you know what, man? As long as you're going on ahead and like you have a good relationship with Jesus Christ, man, like he can heal all, right? RIP Charlie Kirk. Don't care what your politics are. The video is absolutely heartbreaking. Turn to Christ, absolutely. Don't do the politics, Dan. I'm not. I am doing the Christian thing. And so I'm doing the Christian thing. And people that celebrate anything, like, and people that like were to celebrate that, like, you guys can kindly unfollow me too. Like anybody that ever said anything like that, like, unfollow me. And so I want nothing to do with you. And not saying that you are like that, Eric, but if people celebrate it in any which way, I want nothing to do with you. I saw the actual video and it hit me hard as well, too. Let's talk football. We're ready to talk football. James is coming in. Dan, really nervous about the Jets running game. Plus, they're always so tough on the Bills at home. Want to hear your ideas on how to stop them. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Ohio is in the building. West Seneca, New York. Jesus is king. Absolutely. All right. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills injury report. The groins are still here. And I got to tell you what, I saw a GIF online earlier, which absolutely sent me. Was Thigh Doc. He said there's a groin epidemic. And then some absolute crazy person put a GIF of Caleb Williams turning around and smiling at the camera. That was diabolical. That should not be allowed on the internet of how diabolical that was and how funny that was at the same time. But as you can see, still a couple of groin injuries. You have Christian Benford full to go. I'm not concerned that he's not going to be there. Brandon Codrington, knee limited. What does this mean? Does this mean that perhaps we're going to be having somebody else out there with kick returns? I don't know who, but I have a feeling he'll be okay. We have Keon Coleman. He's fine. That's great because that man ultimately ended up really proving a lot of people wrong. A lot of people wrong that the Buffalo Bills ended up making the right choice at wide receiver number 1 in the draft. Ain't that right? You have Keon Coleman. You have James Cook was limited with a hamstring. I feel like he will be okay. We have Taron Johnson did not practice. Dawson Knox, Greg Rousseau limited. Something to think about. Shaq Thompson did not practice. And Tre'Davious White limited. I think one of the biggest questions that we have is, did Dorian Strong do enough to where we're going to give him the call to start on Sunday? Me, I'm not so sure. If Tre'Davious White is good, if he is truly 100%, while I liked what I saw from Dorian Strong, minus getting burned on one specific rep, yes, he did have a touchdown-saving tackle, which is certainly encouraging. We like that. I still think Tre'Davious White is going to get the nod. Again, I don't particularly think that Trey is much better than Dorian Strong. We're not in as much of a better situation as Dorian. However, I still think that with Trey White active and healthy, based off of his veteran presence, based off of his familiarity with the New York Jets, I feel like if Tre'Davious White is good, I feel like that we need to do this. I feel like we need to make that happen. Shaq Thompson being out, I mean, look, he's linebacker 5. Last week, we saw the Buffalo Bills run a little bit of 4-3 because we needed to have an answer. We needed to have an answer for Derrick Henry. Hence why we go on ahead. And hence why we had Shaq Thompson out there often. I don't think Buffalo is going to be transitioning back to a 4-3 look on Sunday. I sincerely don't. I think that they're going to transition to predominantly nickel again. So I think it's largely just going to be Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard out there. So if Shaq Thompson can't go, Shaq Thompson can't go. So my buddy Kevin came out and he said that Shaq Thompson is taking over the role of Balin Spector, a linebacker 5, which is always hurt at any given moment. So we'll see about Shaq. I'm nervous about Shaq because he's older. I wouldn't be surprised if he is out on Sunday. As far as Dawson Knox, as far as Gregory Rousseau, I feel like all of them are okay. Let's see what Bills fan has to say. I want the young guys getting the reps. If you're young and showing promise, you deserve the reps. I love Trey, all-time Bill. But the youth movement is here. It is time. For sure, man. You know, when I end up giving my predictions here, Bills fan, I certainly feel a type of way, right? Say that I was making these decisions, I more than likely would have put Dorian Strong out there myself. But I always end up trying to use historical decisions made by this coaching staff, whether or not that I agree with them or not. I just feel like it's a McDermott thing that we're going to be seeing Tre'Davious White out there if he is good to go. Loved what I saw from Dorian. Watch out for Brandon Beane in the 6th round for a cornerback, baby, because that man is batting 1,000. That guy finds some cornerback help in the NFL drafts once you get into the 5th or the 6th round each and every single time. So shout out to Beane for that. But with Tre'Davious White, I think he will get the nod if, for example, we see the injury report today and he's a full participant. I think all signs are going to be pointing to that. But shout out to Dorian Strong, man. Solid depth piece. Taron Johnson, my God, my guy is on the injury report. That guy lives there, boys. I think it largely has to do with his playing style because damn that guy. Damn, that guy plays aggressive more than I have seen from many other players. Him and Matt Milano are just hard hitters. Buffalo has that notion that we are an undersized defense, and they typically maybe try to overcompensate for it. And like maybe it's little man syndrome. I don't know, but they're just going to go on ahead and just like rip a bunch of people. But for the love of God, let Taron Johnson, like let him go out and play. But then again, like, so I'm looking at the matchups. I'm not particularly scared of Tyler Johnson, who is their slot receiver. I'm not particularly scared of Josh Reynolds. I think the only weapon on that team that really concerns me, or weapons, excuse me, is Breece Hall in the receiving game, not so much on the ground, and Garrett Wilson on the ground. I think that's kind of where I'm at. Shout out to Rico, Buffalo Fanatics. What up, Dano? Rico, my boy. What's up, dude? Hope all is well with you. Hope you're living a beautiful morning right there. Looking forward to seeing you next week, my friend. Looking forward to seeing you while rooting on the Buffalo Bills to defeat the Miami Dolphins. How long is Max expected to be out, and do you think we will see a lot of him when he is healthy? So Maxwell Harrison is on the IR, so he has 4 weeks that he can't practice, he can't play. And then once those 4 weeks are up, a 21-day activation window begins. From there, the Buffalo Bills need to go on ahead and activate him within that 21-day period. If I'm a gambling man, right, maybe we'll see him after the bye. Maybe we'll see him after the bye. We could activate him. Maybe he'd be a healthy scratch a couple of times, or maybe he'd get like 10 to 15% of the reps. But I think that Max Harrison, as much as I hate to say it, based off of the timing of his injury, based off of previous decision-making from this coaching staff in the past, he's going to be taking the Cole Bishop route that happened last year, where you're not going to see a lot of significant reps because McDermott's serious. So McDermott is absolutely serious when it comes down into all of these young players and these rookie players getting their reps. Like, that's just kind of how it is. Is the quad that serious? I mean, he was a do not practice candidate yesterday, right? So I'm kind of concerned about it. I'm hoping that he's limited. I think today will be fantastic. That's exactly what I'm talking about. What up, fam? It's going to be a big one next week. I had my guy Thigh Doc on last night. We talked about keeping an eye on Taron and Spencer Brown. Thigh Doc is the man, all right? And funny enough, Thigh Doc has been stepping into the TikTok game, by the way, folks. Find him on TikTok, folks. He is being coached by yours truly, all right? So, yeah, Rico. So Taron always finds himself on these injury reports. Again, like I said, we're known, or so our moniker is being an undersized defense. So I'm not sure if that's like the Buffalo Bills' defensive egos where they want to go ahead and hit way harder. But Taron's always good for missing a couple of games each and every single season, which is frustrating. What helps me, Rico, is that I'm not so much concerned about their slot receiver in Tyler Johnson, right? I'd be fine with Christian. As long as Christian Benford's on Garrett Wilson, I'm feeling okay. I think Garrett's obviously going to win a couple of matchups. That's just the nature of the beast. But if Spencer Brown is out, yeah, I think that's where I'm going to be having some concerns, especially the game, okay, that Will McDonald ultimately ended up having. He'll probably be like on, so with Deion Dawkins, and based off of the lineup I'm looking at right here, let me go ahead and check out the defensive side of the football. Like you'd be going up against Johnson, like right as the other end. So we'll see. So fingers crossed. We're hoping we're okay. And then hopefully our offense can continue all of this. Super sticker. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, Tran. I appreciate that. You are the man. I don't think they go back to nickel because the Jets run game. I don't think that they're on the same level of Lamar and Henry, but you have to respect Fields' legs, and Breece, Braylon Allen can burn us. Yeah, so a couple of things about the defense, and something that I feel like we should take a look at, because Sal Capaccio brought this up yesterday, I wanted to say. And as soon as when he like highlighted this, it all made sense. Because why did Taylor Rapp have such a shit game, right? Like many people are saying that Cole Bishop had a better game than Taylor Rapp. And folks, I got to tell you, that's true. He did, especially a player that all of us were nervous about. What Baltimore was doing during that game is that they went very off tempo. It was almost impossible to understand the timing of each and every single one of the Ravens snaps last week. And obviously, as Bills fans in the crowd watching that game, we're being loud as hell, right? Because we thought that that was giving the Buffalo Bills defense an advantage, making it difficult for Baltimore to be able to communicate amongst themselves. But in reality, it was also affecting the Buffalo Bills because Baltimore had no uniformity whatsoever in tempo of their offense. Like sometimes you see him holding on to the ball, stretching it out to the play clock to the very end, not play clock, excuse me, play clock to the very end. Sometimes it was a fast tempo. Oftentimes, all of the defenders on the defensive side of the football, quite simply, like just weren't ready and were caught off guard, were flat-footed. So I really hope that Buffalo can really look at the tape from last week, look at what Baltimore did, know that the New York Jets are at least going to try and implement some version of that and have an answer. Funny enough, you saw the Buffalo Bills wear full pads on Wednesday. That's almost unheard of. Like typically that's a walkthrough day. Sean McDermott was so upset with the defense this past Sunday. He said, no. There's no walkthroughs right now, boys. Like we're going full pads so this defense can wake the hell up. That's kind of where we're at right there. Let me see. We have Light of Truth. A buddy of mine who grew up in New York City, age 70, lifetime Jets fan. I asked him, Bills, Ravens, Jets, Steelers. His response, Bills look good. Jets find a new way to lose. Tell that to Richie. Oh, man. Richie, unfortunately, probably knows that. I'm not going to lie to you. That quad could be an issue. If it's bad, he could be out 2 weeks. Keep an eye out on Taron Johnson. Dude, I hope not, Rico. And so I hope not. But you know what? One thing I will say that makes me feel optimistic, at least in the slightest, if Taron can't go this week, again, I'm not particularly concerned of Tyler Johnson, their slot wide receiver, right? Maybe Taron would have been thrown on one of the Jets tight ends. Who knows? If we can dominate on the ground, hopefully James Cook is due for a good game on the ground. Keon Coleman ends up winning his matchups. Brandon Stevens is going to be my target for the Buffalo Bills offense. That guy is a liability. He's a liability wherever he goes. He is, all right? The main reason why Baltimore struggled from the secondary perspective last year, it was because of Brandon Stevens. Guess what? He's on the Jets now. I think this is a game where Joshua Palmer absolutely eats. I think this is a game where Josh Allen targets Josh Palmer quite a bit. I also like, surprisingly enough, Shakir versus Michael Carter II, the slot corner for the New York Jets. He's very good. He's very talented. But I do like Shakir in that matchup, surprisingly enough. So I feel like we just need to do what we can. Dominate where we can and go from there. Hey, Dan, I'm a rookie in this aspect. Can you tell me the involvement a coach has in defensive play calling and prep for games? Do they get desired game plan to coordinator as far as the blitz percentage? So it really depends on what the coaching staff is all about, right? Very oftentimes, sometimes you'll see a head coach that completely outsources all of those responsibilities to his coordinator. Of course, he is there as a resource if the coordinator is struggling. Some head coaches are like, okay, this is you. It's me just handling all of these head coaching responsibilities, what have you. They have full and utmost trust right in their defensive coordinator. Sometimes you have on the opposite extreme where you just have a defensive coordinator and it is a ceremonial position and a head coach still calls plays for the defense, or the head coach calls plays for the offense depending on his overall background. On paper, you would think Babich has full reins. However, I think Sean McDermott has a bit more say on that defense than we're willing to admit. 1 year, Sean was the play caller. I loved that season. I thought the defense was very, very good. Last year, obviously, we had our share of struggles, but I do think Sean McDermott is still involved in some account, at least. Buffalo needs to look for matchups and take advantage of it. Drew, I bet Taryn would try to play with one leg. The guy is such a dog. He is a dog, dude. You have no idea. Hey, Dan, I'm a rookie. Okay, I already read that one. Brandon Stevens equals new Brendan Carr. Dude, Stevens is terrible. He's terrible, man. Like, I'm looking at Palmer and Stevens right now, and this is a game to me that just makes me think, okay, we need to target this guy heavy and ruin this guy. That and then Adams too, dude. With Adams, his coverage grade 41.9. Once you go to the right side of the field, outside of the numbers, this is where I think Josh Allen lives, folks. He probably lives right here as well, because while obviously I have a lot of respect here from Quincy Williams, he's a solid traditional type linebacker, and Sherwood as well. You have to be able to take advantage. Have to be able to take advantage of their coverage, right? Like, Williams obviously is better in coverage than Sherwood, but assuming that they're going to be lining up in nickel, so I'm assuming they're going to be doing more often than not, because why take off one of your best defensive players on the field if you have something to say about it? If that's the case, Sherwood, Adams, and Brandon Stevens on this right side of the line. And even if you watch the tape from last week, Rodgers was attacking that side of the field all day. All day. Whereas you probably should avoid the Gardner side of the field, which I think Josh Allen will likely do, maybe outside of a couple of fringe plays to Keon Coleman. Same thing with Carter, etc. And Gardner is traveling now, from what I hear, based off of what I've heard from Richie thus far. But that's just kind of where we're at. We have Gary. Dan, Dorian looking strong at corner. Did you see the Derrick Henry tackle? I did, man. Listen, he's doing a thing. If Sauce is on Keon, Palmer and Shakir is going to eat. Absolutely. Dude, wherever Sauce Gardner is on, those other two wide receivers are going to eat. Same thing with James Cook. That's kind of my thought process. Have you seen the Jets injury report? Mason Taylor and Michael Carter II are some notable on their injury. I have not, but I feel like as we should be taking advantage of this. Let's take a look at this Jets injury report. Because if that's the case, then I have no concerns about our offense getting anything moving whatsoever. Let's take a look at this. Okay. We need it. Okay, there you go. Okay. So you have Michael Carter II with a shoulder injury. He was a limited participant. Linebacker, he's their LB3. And like I said, so with this Jets team, runs a lot of nickel. And then one of their offensive linemen, who is indeed a depth player. He's a limited participant. You have Mason Taylor, a rookie tight end with an ankle. He was a do not practice. And they're RB3 or RB4. So Mason Taylor, I suppose, he's a rookie. I'm not particularly sure that I was all too worried about him in the first place based off of his lack of familiarity with an NFL defense. And then with Michael Carter II, I feel like he should play, but then again, I would hate to assume here. Sandman is in the building. What old man, AARON, could handle them suckers with one wide receiver? 17 stats will go through the roof. Jamal Jones, start fast, get Cook and company going. Sirens 08. What do you think, Dan, is Josh Allen going to break the NFL record for most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback this season? I believe he only needs 9 more rushing touchdowns to break it. It's looking good, right? It's looking good, especially with the tush push going on. He's an absolute animal, man. Like, he had 2 last week. I could definitely see him. Yeah. It's not completely out of the realm of possibility. We have Carly in the building. Hit that like, get Dan to 100. Guys, yeah. Say, for example, y'all are new here. So what I do is I'm live Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. EST. We break down everything Buffalo Bills related and the NFL related. If that's your cup of tea, say, for example, you like rocking with me, whether or not you're working, whether or not you're going about your day-to-day responsibilities, and you want to use me as some background noise to stay informed, great. Stay around. I'm so happy that you're here. But do me a favor and hit that thumbs up sign, guys. 178 people tuning in. Do me a favor and let's get this up to 178 like buttons, because the more like buttons that we hit, the larger we can grow this community. And I cannot wait for that to be the case. If the Jets tight end Mason Taylor is out, all we have to do is keep Wilson in check and don't let Brees and Fields burn us on the ground. If Jets tight end Mason Taylor is out. So here are my keys to the game. And that's a great segue. So I still lost week 1 of fantasy despite having Josh Allen. He outscored the rest of my team combined. That's fantasy football. Fabian, what up, dude? How you doing, man? Hope all is well. We just doing one stream a day, Dan. I know you are a busy man. So I'll tell you what. I sporadically do 2 a day. Sporadically. I'm trying to find like a good time. I feel like I could do like 4 p.m. EST. So I'll tell you what. And so I do need to up my streams a little bit so I love hanging out with you guys. So let's go on ahead and start pushing this. We could do 4 p.m. EST, 4 p.m. EST, Monday through Friday as well. You will see me again. We'll do like a call-in show like later this afternoon or something, or like with like another topic. Maybe that starts next week. Yeah, most definitely. I have a lot going on this week, but maybe it'll start next week. We'll figure it out. We have Joseph Norris. And do you have a link for the tailgate at the Dolphins-Bills game? Yeah, we do not have a specific link that helps us out in any which way, but it is the game day hospitality. It's the game day hospitality football tailgate for Bills and Dolphins. It's a pretty user-friendly like website. You should be able to find tickets there. Sauce only could guard one wide receiver at a time, so target CB2 and CB3. You have Jamal Jones out there with an awesome way to go about it. Dan, with the win over Baltimore, do you believe the Bills will finally get a number 1 seed? It looks good, man. And so it looks good. Very, very good. If we go out there and we put up the same performance offensively and we only improve marginally against the New York Jets, and that's just for morale purposes, that I'm pretty convinced that we might not lose another game until week 11 or week 12. Yeah. Like, that's how favorable our schedule is. Got to find a way to run the ball, take pressure off of Josh Allen. Sauce is probably on Palmer. And if that's the case, then Keon Coleman eats, right? Even if Keon and Sauce on him with how DK ate, I think Keon would do well as well. Ty and Ray should have a week of Cook's injury bothering him. Okay, so let's talk about keys of the game. We have Brian coming in saying, checking in for the first time from Boise, Idaho. Great channel. Brian, welcome to the family, man. Welcome to the family, dude. We really appreciate you coming in and talking a little Buffalo Bills football with us. Stick around, man. I'm live all the time, specifically Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. EST. And I obviously do my live play-by-play reactions in case you want to see me yell at a computer screen for 3.5 hours. So for some reason, a lot of people enjoy that. But, okay. So I want to talk about keys for the Buffalo Bills defense versus the New York Jets offense. Because, right, while we won the game, there are still people out there that are concerned about our defense allowing 40 points to be scored against us. Folks, I have to tell you something. Do not look at the Baltimore Ravens game as a measuring stick for a variety of reasons. Number one, it was week 1, and the defense has had 0 significant snaps since the playoff game last year. Barely anything in the preseason. You added a bunch of new pieces to this defense as well. There's growing pains. And then number 2, we were quite literally going up against the best offense in the NFL. Or arguably the best offense in the NFL. Like 8.4 yards per carry. Like had Lamar throwing it all over the field on us. Guys, that is an anomaly. All right? Baltimore is going to be doing that to the vast majority of their opponents all season long. I could care less. What ranked defense they go up against. You're going to be seeing Baltimore score 30-plus points more often than not. So I refuse to look at this defense and say, oh, we're cooked. Oh, man, like we're going to let up 40 points against the Saints. The Saints are going to put, like 40 points on us. If the Jets put up 30-plus points on the Buffalo Bills, then you will see me very concerned on Monday, and we will have a conversation about that. I don't think that's going to be the case. This is what I think is going to happen, and this is key number 1 for the Buffalo Bills defense, obviously, to be successful against the Jets. We're seeing social media and all these talking heads gain confidence in Fields being an actual competent quarterback in the pass game. One of those reps I saw from him where he stared down the safety all the way up into the last second and hit a absolute dime to Garrett Wilson made me think, holy hell, maybe he's starting to get it after 5 years. All he needed was the right environment. Yeah, he's got to prove that to us. He's got to absolutely prove that to us. We take away his ability to hurt us with his legs. Stack the box early and often. Stack the box early and often, run man coverage. That's largely what I'm suggesting. If Justin Fields can go 2 games in a row with being as consistent as he was versus Pittsburgh, then let him hurt us that way. Let him prove that he has just miraculously woken up in the year of 2025 and he can read a defense. And he can look a safety off and hit Garrett Wilson wide open down the field against a player like Christian Benford. Right? Spy Justin Fields with Matt Milano. Take away his ability to hurt us with the legs. Take him away entirely. Collapse the pocket. Make your tackles. Solid offensive line from the New York Jets. But we need to take away that ability. We need to force him to beat us with his arm. He did it last week, right? Do it again. Do it again. Show us that that wasn't a fluke. And if that doesn't work, then we make adjustments like we always do in the second half. I'm not so much concerned. Then I end up looking at this. You have Garrett Wilson over here. Folks, I can promise you that Christian Benford is going to be the guy that's on Garrett Wilson. I'm completely fine with this. Defense right here. You have Khalil Shakir. Well, actually, let me go ahead and put him back on offense real fast. I'm going to put them in nickel. Perfect. You have Taron Johnson. Hopefully he's okay with his quad. If not, then who's our guy? Maybe it's Jordan Hancock. Maybe he ends up getting his nod for a start. Maybe we put him in the slot and maybe he goes through with it. I'm not so much concerned about Tyler Johnson. I'm sorry, I'm not. We can go from there. You have Josh Reynolds, right? Like he has been a fringe wide receiver 3 for quite some time. And granted, I could probably say the exact same thing about Joshua Palmer. I feel like we could be humble about that because that's exactly what Joshua Palmer is. Maybe Reynolds goes off with the New York Jets. But I got to tell you what, I absolutely love a Dorian Strong or a Tre'Davious White on this guy. I love them in man coverage, right? I love Benford on Garrett Wilson in man coverage. I like Dorian Strong or I like Tre'Davious White on man coverage on Reynolds. I like Taron Johnson on man coverage against Tyler Johnson. I do. That's key number 1. Take away the run from Justin Fields. Maybe Breece Hall gets a little bit. Cool. Do what you can. All right? But do not allow Justin Fields to hurt us with his legs. And I don't want to hear any sort of comparison. Oh, my God, we said that about Lamar. That is Lamar Jackson. Last time we played Justin Fields, it was a couple of years ago, but the player, we held him to about 11 yards. That's what we do. We make him prove that he could have 2 quality passing games in a row. That's what I like, right? Sure, I think this Jets team is going to score their share of points. I believe that they will. But I need an improvement, right? What I saw from this defense in the fourth quarter, where they stopped Baltimore 3 damn times, I would like to see that early. I would like to not be on the verge of cardiac arrest in the fourth quarter until the Buffalo Bills defense decides just to wake up out of nowhere. I would like to see a consistent game. Really, really would. I get that Sean McDermott likes to have opposing offenses show their pitches so that they can get a quality sort of game plan of what they're doing, right? But no, hell no. Let's figure it out. We have Darnell is coming in, and that was key number 1, folks. And the media hates on my Buffalo Bills defense, but the Ravens gave up 41 points, but everyone is talking like the Ravens. This loss means the Ravens are no better than my Buffalo Bills. You know what, dude? We're getting to a point, Darnell, where although I don't agree with it, because I do think that a ring is indeed a team accomplishment, the only way that we're going to be able to shut these people up is like we need to win a ring. Like that's really all we can do. As much as I don't agree with it, right? Because you can still acknowledge greatness of an organization if they don't accomplish a Super Bowl, which only one of 32 teams does each and every single year. And last time I checked, not many teams have had that honor for the past 10 years. It's been the same 3 teams, maybe one that snuck in. But Yeah, dude, listen, we just need to silence all doubters and just like win a ring. Like that's basically when we're going to start getting our respect. And even then, I wouldn't imagine that we're going to be getting much respect. Let's see. We have T-Man is coming in. I agree completely with you on the Bills D. I was ultimately the D line that won the game for us. I am looking forward to seeing how much better our D will be this year. I do think that we can acknowledge that the defensive line looked like that it improved. That is true. Like, like that is certainly true. And when I look at matchups on the defensive line, and so I see our good friend Ed Oliver, and I see our good friend John Simpson right here. I think this is a favorable matchup. This is a good offensive line, folks. Like, this is a good offensive line. So don't be upset if Buffalo, for now the second week in a row, doesn't really get a lot of pressure. Like, and so with obviously we saw like Ed have a great game last week. I think Ed will, but this is a very good offensive line. Like, so with this offensive line is better than Baltimore's as far as collectively is concerned. Like this young man right here, first round pick, literally held TJ Watt to 0 pressures and 0 sacks. So what a damn test for Joey Bosa, right? Like what a damn test for Joey Bosa. Can he get it done? If arguably the best edge rusher in all of the NFL couldn't do anything against him. I'm excited to see Membu versus Myles Garrett a bit later too, but here we are. Yeah, Fashanu, who's pretty solid. His pass block was awful yesterday, so maybe this is a Rousseau game. You have TJ Sanders, who, I mean, had a rough outing, but typically was Daquan Jones. He didn't look much better, to be completely honest with you. But I really think that this game is going to be brought up as far as quality defensive performance. I think this needs to be a secondary game. And so I think this needs to be a linebacker game. I think this needs to be we're taking the football away from you and we're going to go up by a couple of scores based off of your mistakes. I feel like this is a turnover game for us. Not so much, oh my God, this pass rush is dominant, because you have the perfect storm of a competent offensive line with also a mobile quarterback who's going to hurt you in some which way. So that's kind of where I'm at. Just about every year we have a trap game. When do you think our trap game will come this year? Last year we didn't have a trap game, right? Last year we didn't. So with every single loss Buffalo had last year, I would not have been shocked if you were to tell me at the beginning of the season that we would lose that game. I honestly think it has to do with our current coaching staff, and sure, we can be critical, right, of some of their decisions or some of their performances in very small windows. But like last year, there was zero evidence that Buffalo should be worried about any sort of quote unquote trap game, right? Because we beat every single team that we were supposed to beat. More oftentimes than not, pretty convincingly. I suppose say that you're being a stickler, I guess, with all of the divisional games, you know, like we can't afford to not take them seriously, or so the team. And so again, like y'all probably like tune into me regularly and I tell you that jinxing doesn't exist, and me coming out and saying that so the Buffalo Bills are going to perform one way or the other, or, oh, Dan, like stop being cocky about the Buffalo Bills. Like you better be careful. Like, so here's the deal. I'm fine with fans being confident about a game. I could care less if someone goes around and says, oh my God, we're going to beat them by 40 points, and you sleep on an opponent. As long as my team doesn't, right? As long as McDermott, as long as his coaching staff like has these guys laser focused and taking every single opponent seriously, then we're in good shape, right? But again, it is human nature, right? It's human nature. A lot of these guys are 21, 22, 23. And so let's reflect back on when we were 22, 23, 24. I'm pretty sure our confidence levels were through the roof, almost borderline delusional, right? It's natural from a human perspective to sleep on particular competition. I don't think Buffalo is, though. I don't, especially based off of how the Jets played last week. Thankfully, they played well. And the game plan will be stop the run and contain, and the defense won't pin their ears back in order to maintain gap integrity. Brian, totally agree with you. I genuinely think that we need to test this quote unquote newfound quality quarterback of the New York Jets. And that's probably even a bit of a crazy statement. He showed for the first time in his career on a consistent basis that he could read a defense, which is something that I have been critical of Justin Fields ever since he's been in this league. Prove that that wasn't a fluke, Justin Fields. Take away his ability to hurt us with his legs and say that we need to pick something, right? Like let Garrett Wilson hurt us. Let Breece Hall hurt us in the receiving game. That's kind of where I go. Like we need to pick our poison, and my poison to vanquish is going to be taking Justin Fields' legs out of the equation. Will the coaching staff follow suit? I suppose we'll see. We have a couple of days to figure that out. Don't play around with teams you're supposed to beat. For sure. Dan, I'm going to the game next Thursday with my wife. I hope to run into you for a second to say hello. Blake, me too, brother. Me too, man. Hopefully you'll see me around, dude. I will be perusing around the tailgate. Dan, I went 13-3 last week. One in my upset week for week 2 is the Jags beat the Bengals, Bears beat Lions, and Colts beat Broncos. Well, funny enough, Dexy Gaming, I'm going to be giving you my picks for this week for NFL week 2 later on in the stream once we end up getting past the keys, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. Bosa will get to Fields. I hope so, man. He's going to be going up against a rookie that ended up shutting down TJ Watt entirely. That would be a welcome to Buffalo type statement if Bosa could do that. And that's crazy to say about a rookie too, right? About Bills, Jets. Jets looked good in Steelers game, but Steelers aren't the Bills. Also, Jets aren't the Ravens. Bills won, Jets lost. Bills will make adjustments on defense. My prediction, Bills 40, Jets 21. Dude, Steven has been a beacon of light for us all offseason, right? He remained positive in the chat on Sunday evening when all things looked bleak for the Bills. And what happened? The Buffalo Bills ended up coming back and winning. I got to say, he's probably making an impact on this, man. That positivity goes a long way, and I think we should all take a moment to appreciate Steve. Shout out, Steve. I appreciate that. Keep a QB spy on Justin Fields. Stack the box. Completely take it away and make Justin Fields beat you with his arm. Have him prove that that was not a fluke last week and say that he starts to cook us, then make the adjustments when necessary. Good practice with Lamar this previous week for Fields. Contain Fields, make him pass the ball. Should be a walk in the park. That's kind of how I'm feeling too. Statement, I think we got a good punter now. Our little Sean McDermott. I swear to you, dude, like when I saw that Cameron Johnston was signed for the Buffalo Bills, I thought somebody put comedian Bill Burr in a Buffalo Bills jersey. I thought that it was just a joke. That guy has a striking resemblance to Bill Burr, the comedian, and Sean McDermott. Sean McDermott, Bill Burr, if somehow biologically possible they could have offspring, that's what I thought that was. I was like, okay, who's trolling? Who's putting a comedian in a Bills jersey right now? But no, it was absolutely serious. Brad Robbins had a terrible game last week. And when Brandon Day was like, I did too, dude. Like crazy shit. Like crazy shit. I thought that was the case. Jets exposed safety play against the Steelers. Need to contain over the top and test Fields on accurate to intermediate throws. For sure. And listen, run a lot of man coverage. I think that we can win, man. And so I really, really do. Dan, what was the same exact thought when I saw that photo? Dude, I did, man. I was shocked. Notice when Ravens stopped avoiding ED and the run game stopped working. I mean, hey, what can you do? I have been calling the new punter Don McShermott. Dan, when will cornerback Maxwell Harrison be playing, and when can we expect him to start? So he's on the IR, so he at least has 4 games where he can't practice and or play. And then it opens up a 21-day practice window where at one point he needs to be activated within that time frame. My guess is after the bye. My guess is that he's activated after being on IR for about like week 6. He'll start practicing, and then we'll probably see him against the Carolina Panthers. And as far as the amount of snaps he's going to receive, that's anybody's guess. As much as it pains me to say, I think that, like Max Harrison, I think that he's going to take the same road as Cole Bishop did last year because he was hurt virtually all of training camp. I think McDermott tried to rush him back during that Houston game. I don't know. So I think you need to be careful with that signing, right? You have Jamal Jones. Didn't realize old punter wasn't placing the ball in a good position. 45K subscribers, Dan. Happy the show has gotten as big as it has. Great work. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, man. 45K is not just my accomplishment, it's y'all's accomplishment, right? Because I have so many friends that like to tune in with me on a daily basis and talk football. All right. It's crazy. Don't thank me. Thank all of you for hitting that thumbs up sign. That's what propels it out to the YouTube algorithm so more people can discuss, talk a little bit of football. I think that we can all enjoy that. What's up, Dan? Go Bills. Ed, what up, dude? Brandon Day. Any updates on Trey? And will Samuel be a healthy scratch again? What's your opinion on Samuel? Trey White was limited yesterday. And based off of our good friend Thigh Doctor, who I may have on later this afternoon, as a matter of fact, he's trending in the right direction, right? Like, we're going to have to see the injury report today. If Trey is a full participant, I think that's all systems go. I think that means we're going to be seeing him out there. And then as far as Curtis Samuel, I have no idea. Like, why was he a healthy scratch? Maybe we wanted to give him a bit more rest or something along those lines from last year. Like, maybe that was the case. Or like maybe we wanted him to like slowly recover even more from the injury he sustained a couple of weeks ago. But we'll see. Someone says see the injury on or the news on Cook. Hold on, let me see. Hold up. Let me see. What's the news on Cook? See if there's anything. Veterans. So I saw that he was on the injury report, but I didn't see any other specific news or anything like that. Thoughts on Jabril Peppers signing for the Steelers? That is such a Steelers signing. That much I can tell you. How do you feel about our matchup against the Jets? Anything we should keep in mind going into the game? One thing is this right tackle right here. His name is Armand Membu. He had a hell of a game last week. He held TJ Watt to 0 pressures and 0 sacks, which I can't remember the last time that TJ Watt was held to figures like that. So that's going to be a matchup I think Bosa is pretty interested in. As far as game plan, right, Vade? What we have decided as far as the defensive side of the football, like, need to completely stack the box, run man coverage, bring 5 pressure, and take away Justin Fields' ability to hurt us with his legs, right? That's where you get the insurance policies with Bernard and Milano being able to sort of have an answer if the defensive line gets beat. So I think that's what we need to do, man. We need to take away one poison. Like, we need to pick our poison. And I'm sorry, but so the poison I'm picking is Fields and his receiving room. Let him try, right? Let him go on ahead and beat us with his arm. He only had what, chat? 21, 22 attempts last week. 21 to 22 attempts from the passing side of things. I want Justin Fields to have 35 pass attempts on Sunday. Take away the run so aggressively that we see Justin Fields have 35 plus attempts in the air. If you give Justin Fields 30 plus pass attempts, that's 2 interceptions. That's 2 turnovers. That's going to cause him to make mistakes. Sure, he looked good. Like, he made some good decisions in the pass game last week. That's because he didn't have too many attempts. Skyrocket that. Man coverage. And so disguise as much as you possibly can and take the football away. In fact, that's my hot take. And so I think this defense has 2 turnovers on Sunday. And give me a pick from Taylor Rapp and give me a pick from Bernard. That's a hot take. I already know it is. I think Ed Oliver is going to at least be a Pro Bowler and maybe an All-Pro if he can stay consistent. That's the biggest question for us. Can he stay consistent? 35-17 Bills. Enough said. Richie Fresh is what I'm talking about. Dan, where are you bringing back roundtable college football? Man, so I'll be completely honest with you, man. We tried this whole college football thing, and I need to find a new host. So with J Tuck, he's ready to go. It's me. Like, I have so much going on from a Bills perspective, from like all my short form content responsibilities. So I'm looking for a college football host. I had to put that show on the back burner for the time being because I don't have enough time, unfortunately, and I don't have enough mental capacity to be able to like keep in the know of everything and anything that's going on with ball, while I also need to know everything that's going on with the NFL. So I'm currently hunting down a new potential co-host for that show. I'm hoping it gets back this year. If not, we're just going to shelf it and bring it back next year. Um, that's me. I'm super aggressive when it comes into scaling my business. And sometimes I scale far too fast. And I'm not going to take away from my Bills coverage, from my NFL coverage, when I don't think I have the bandwidth of doing so. But I am hoping on bringing it back as long as I find someone that can take my place. Yes, now he's got some help on the line. Teams can't consistently double ed. No more. He is going to eat. Tyler, James Cook hamstring, Ray Davis game inbound. He played well against the Jets last year, so maybe that's the case. Don't give up quick scores to the Jets. I like that. About the Bills offense in the Ravens game, second and third possessions, they went 3 and out. And contrasting with fourth quarter is proof that Bills-O cannot go conservative. Let Josh be Josh. Do what he does best. Agreed. Absolutely. 110%, man. Like, what I want to see is a good, fundamental, principled attack from both sides of the football on Sunday. Like, no mistakes. Prayers. Prayers up, indeed. Guys, I need to use the restroom real fast. 206 of you are in here. I expect 206 like buttons to be hit. Let's propel this out to the YouTube algorithm. I'm going to transition into my NFL Week 2 picks. All right. Last week, I got eviscerated. I'm not going to lie. I lost 5 games, 11-5. I'm going to turn it up this week because we all know that Week 1 is almost impossible to predict. However, we are going to be transitioning over to that once I end up getting back. Please hit that thumbs up sign and don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon. All right. Keep it about football, guys. Well, I get many of us are hurt, but let's keep it about football. Patrick is coming in. Wouldn't you rather have the young cornerbacks getting experience over Trey White playing? Yeah. So I sure would. But so again, so I always try when I try to predict who's going to be starting, like who our starting 11 is going to be. I always like to take into account of what McDermott's probably going to do. Say that it was up to me, for sure. I just roll with Dorian Strong, especially based off of the game he had last week. But like knowing McDermott, if Trey White's good to go, that's probably who we're going to see. Psycho is coming in. Dan, what are your concerns about our safeties? So surprisingly enough, Cole Bishop, really outside of just getting stiff-armed by Derrick Henry, he had a better game than Taylor Rapp. Rapp actually was the one that was a liability out there last week. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that Baltimore was really testing tempo. It was almost impossible to read. And with the noise in the stadium, of course, fans thinking that like we're helping the Buffalo Bills defense out, how Baltimore's offensive strategy by going up tempo to like almost draining the play clock, that kind of screwed with the Buffalo Bills defense as far as being able to make adjustments. So I think that gives me an excuse for what Taylor Rapp's performance looked like. And as far as Cole Bishop, really outside of just being a meme, I thought that Cole Bishop wasn't all that bad. And then Taylor looked slow. He did. But anyway. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and take a look at NFL Week 2 because you know what? I'm itching to make a comeback this evening. And we're going to start off with a game that I'm very, very excited about. The Washington Commanders and the Green Bay Packers, Thursday night football. And I got to tell you what, look, I have made a take. I'm still dying on this hill. And a lot of people disagree with me, but hear me out on this. I'm not bought in on the Green Bay Packers for a variety of reasons. I do think that there are some question marks in their secondary, specifically with their perimeter corners. Love their safety room with Xavier McKinney and Bullard out of Georgia. Many of you guys know I'm a big Georgia Bulldogs fan. I always root for Georgia players, regardless of where they go. However, I think that there are some weaknesses on the Green Bay Packers team that a lot of us weren't able to see because the Detroit Lions were going through some attrition from their coordinator positions last year. I think tonight that the Washington Commanders are going to score at will against the Green Bay Packers for a variety of reasons. While the Washington Commanders take a significant step back in offensive line quality, you have to understand what an impact that a mobile quarterback like Jaden Daniels is going to have. I love their wide receivers and being able to create yak yards after the catch. I love their physicality within their wide receiver room. I have a feeling that Jaden Daniels very often tests outside of the numbers and he burns the Green Bay Packers, and Washington ends up winning this game by a significant margin. I think Green Bay will have its share of wins. And as much as I love Micah Parsons, how athletic he is, same thing with Rashawn Gary, I think that this is a game which reminds everybody that Jaden Daniels truly is him. I think a massive game is coming up from Washington. Give me the Washington Commanders to win this game. Beth, what is going on in the chat? Shout out to the chat for everyone tuning in. All right, moving on. We have the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys. Again, another divisional game. Do I dare say that the Giants are going to make this close? I'm not going to say, I can promise you that the Giants are going to win this game, especially in Jerry world. Some of you might say, oh, Dan, you need to look at the Dallas Cowboys record at home last year. They were awful. They were arguably better on the road. Sure. However, even without Micah Parsons, I genuinely believe that this Dallas defensive line is going to fool everybody on earth to think, oh, maybe they don't need Micah Parsons because of how pedestrian the New York Giants offensive line is. I think that CeeDee Lamb is going to be on a hell-bent mission to make up for his sins from last Thursday night football. I really like how Dak Prescott played. I think Javonte Williams actually had a quality game. I think that we're not talking about it enough because the Philadelphia Eagles obviously ended up winning. But give me the Dallas Cowboys to bounce back and win at home. I think perhaps like you might see some pressure from the front seven up in the Giants because they have a wonderful front seven right within their defense. But give me the Dallas Cowboys to win this game Sunday at 12. Moving on, we have our good friends, the Seattle Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right. It's a good one, right? It's tough for me to unpack this because Pittsburgh had its share of problems last week against the New York Jets. Yes, they won. Fantastic. Yes, Aaron Rodgers ended up putting the team on his back because bar none, folks, if Aaron Rodgers wasn't the quarterback on Sunday, if they were rolling with Mason Taylor or excuse me, who was their backup quarterback? It's not Mason Crosby. It's okay, whoever it was, or a former quarterback of the past, Russ Wilson, Justin Fields, what have you. Thank you for whoever just said that in the chat. Pittsburgh's defense needs to wake up. The Seahawks didn't look good at all last week offensively. I could probably chalk it up to rust. I'm still high on Cooper Kupp. I'm still high on JSN. I'm high on Zach Charbonnet. But I do think that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is going to wake up a tad. I do think they are going to cause problems for Sam Darnold and the Seattle Seahawks. Rudolph, thank you so much. Once the Pittsburgh Steelers end up getting it done, I think that there's a lot of things that Aaron Rodgers can take advantage of versus the Seattle Seahawks team. Add on top home field advantage. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this game as well. I'm feeling it, man. First three picks, I feel like I'm making a little bit of sense. Moving on, LA Rams and the Tennessee Titans. Did you know that Matthew Stafford has never beaten the Tennessee Titans. If Matthew Stafford beats the Tennessee Titans, ladies and gentlemen, he will have beaten 30 NFL teams, or 31, I want to say. This Rams team, don't sleep on the fact that they only scored 14 points last week against the Houston Texans. Very good defense. As far as the Tennessee Titans, I know people were optimistic that they had an opportunity of winning the game late last week, but I think this Rams team is going to take the same trajectory that they did last year. Like having very much of a roller coaster of offensive production. But at the end of the day, with how quality their defense performed last week, like they did hold the Houston Texans to what, like 9 points? And I know the Houston Texans offensive line is a liability. I know that the Houston Texans are dealing with some significant changes in the wide receiver room, adding 2 rookies and Nico Collins, obviously. I'm going to have to go with the LA Rams to go out and defeat the Tennessee Titans. I'm high on Cam Ward. I do think that he has a bright future in this league. I think he needs to take some mustard off of his passes. Like, that's for sure. That or Calvin Ridley needs to catch the damn football and make some plays and help out his rookie QB. But I just look at this matchup and I just see this LA Rams team being better in all facets of the game, including special teams as well. So I have the LA Rams walking away with a pretty easy victory. We have the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets. I'm going to save my final score prediction, but this is exactly what this episode was about at the beginning of said episode, right? I'm very confident in this Buffalo Bills team. While I did like what I saw from the New York Jets in week 1, I'm not a believer yet. It's week 1, right? A lot of teams that start early in the season that look dominant, that look significantly improved. History shows that a lot of the times they begin to be brought back down to earth around week 2 and week 3. I think on paper, I think this Buffalo Bills team is built to compete with the New York Jets, really outside of a couple of random losses that I would potentially say were skewed. I think this Buffalo Bills team walks away with a victory pretty soundly. I'm going to go on ahead and say that we win by a 2-score margin, maybe a 10-point differential, but I will save my final score prediction for this evening on the AFC East Roundtable and then some of my other videos when we start unpacking even more details on said matchup. But give me the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets as indeed a quality divisional win. Patriots and the Dolphins. Holy hell, man. Talk about the toilet bowl. Talk about the toilet bowl right here, man. That Miami Dolphins team, dude, losing to the Indianapolis Colts, losing to Indiana Jones should be something that haunts every single Dolphins fan for the rest of the season, regardless of whether or not that they are able to turn it around. They are now playing without Austin Jackson, right? With Tyreek Hill. Again, it's pretty clear he's not really bought into this organization. He really hasn't been a threat for this team for quite some time. You have Tua in complete shambles, and you're going up against the New England Patriots, who really disappointed me last week, right? I was expecting to see a lot more from New England. I didn't see that. I'm going to chalk it up as some week 1 rust. Maybe they're getting used to a new Mike Vrabel-led team. Maybe Mike Vrabel doesn't have the pieces that he truly wants, that builds or foresees his vision for this team. I'm picking Drake May over Tua, that's for sure. I'm not sure about their offensive line in New England because while Miami has its share of problems, the one redeeming factor, I suppose you can say, is their defensive line and pass rush. Secondary is obviously an issue with Miami. I think this game's going to be close. I do. But I can't remember the last time the New England Patriots beat Miami at home. So even with all of the injuries, I think that this just has Miami Dolphins win all over it. Sincerest apologies, DTN, and to all my Patriots fans watching this game. I'm doing my best to stay as optimistic and as objective as possible, but I'm going to have to lean toward Miami. That's who I'm riding with. But then afterwards, I could see this team really falling apart. And I'd say that's the one I'm probably nervous about the most. I'm probably nervous about the most with that one. Okay, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this game is also difficult for me to predict because, make no mistake, while the Cincinnati Bengals played like absolute shit last week, like some piss poor, pitiful numbers from the Cincinnati offense going into the second half. I saw, like, I think it was at one point, like maybe that offense had a total of like 7 yards. It was bad. And that Cleveland Browns defense really turned it up. It was a divisional matchup. But then I look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and folks, I know they beat the Carolina Panthers, but it wasn't that the Jacksonville Jaguars went out there and looked like a good football team. It was two bad teams, and the Jacksonville Jaguars were just marginally less terrible. Again, what can Trevor Lawrence do? I'm looking on paper. On paper, the Jacksonville Jaguars should win this game. They are a more complete team. Obviously, you have the Cincinnati Bengals have a better quarterback. They have better receivers. But as far as the defense for Jacksonville and the Cincinnati Bengals defense, I'm picking the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, you saw Josh Allen Hines have like 8 pressures last week. He's going to eat against that offensive line, right? Like, that's another menace coming off of the edge, very similar to Myles Garrett from last year. So I could see the game being close, but I always have a rule. If the game is too close to call, I'm going to have to go with home field advantage on this one. I think that Jacksonville has some holes in their secondary. I love some of the matchups with Jamar Chase. Same exact thing with T. Higgins. I'm going to have to go with the Cincinnati Bengals to win this game as well. Start off 2-0, and Cincinnati Bengals fans are going to be happy. But then their record gets a hell of a lot more significant. The San Francisco 49ers and the New Orleans Saints, folks. Brock Purdy is officially out for 2 to 5 weeks with a toe injury. On top of that, you have George Kittle added to the IR. Brandon Ayuk is still nowhere to be seen. And Juwan Jennings, who knows what's going on with him. But a healthy defense, mind you. You have the New Orleans Saints, who I believe are still riding with Spencer Rat-a-tat-tat, second-year QB in New Orleans. This prediction, for me, is going to sound sort of hypocritical, because you just heard me say that when the game is too close to call for me, I'm always going to side with the home team. Surprisingly enough, I think Mac Jones gets it done for him. I think Mac Jones, if Brock Purdy is truly out for 5 weeks, based off of the San Francisco 49ers schedule, I believe Mac Jones leads them at the very worst floor. 3 of the 5 games will be a win for San Francisco. Love their defense still. I do think that their defense will be able to all but shut down the New Orleans Saints. Perhaps we'll see Alvin Kamara go out there and make a couple of plays here and there. But I think Mac Jones is good enough as a backup QB. He was the quarterback that Kyle Shanahan was considering during that draft class. Instead, he ended up going with Trey Lance. I have a feeling that Mac Jones actually ends up leading the San Francisco 49ers team to a win. It's not portraying that I'm that confident in the San Francisco 49ers, but it's more so portraying how little faith I have in the New Orleans Saints in general. That's where I'm at, folks. Sound off and let me know your thoughts. Moving on, we have the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. Man, let me tell you what. If Joe Flacco beats the Baltimore Ravens, this will be his 31st team he has ever beaten in his career. All right? Next year, obviously, I think he has the Seahawks, but like he doesn't have an opportunity of beating them. Is this a revenge story for Joe Flacco? And so the defense looked good right over in Cleveland. But when I look at the AFC North, typically teams end up playing each other close. Cleveland did beat Baltimore last year with Jameis Winston as their quarterback in Cleveland, to keep in mind. But I have a feeling that Baltimore is pissed off. I think Baltimore is going to look at this matchup. I think that they're going to, punish the Cleveland Browns for this. I was not impressed with what Cleveland put out on the field offensively. I think this defense has something to prove. Give me Baltimore by a pretty significant margin. I have Baltimore winning this game pretty soundly and going 1-0, obviously. Moving on. Let's go ahead and talk about these bad boys real fast. Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. Damn, boys. Damn, man. What to make of either of these teams? We saw Amon-Ra St. Brown go on his podcast and say that he genuinely hopes that Lions fans boo Ben Johnson coming into the stadium. Some people took that one way. Some people took it the other. And the Chicago Bears, for the most part, they looked good offensively for the first 3 quarters of the game during week 1 until they pissed down their leg in the fourth quarter. But the same thing could be said about the Detroit Lions. They did not look like the Detroit Lions at all. Like they could not get anything done offensively. Their run game was completely shut down. However, I do like this matchup for the Detroit Lions a bit better. I do think that the Lions will be able to reestablish the run. I do think if Jalen Johnson is still not out there, which I believe he still will not be out there, I think that there's no mismatch from the defensive side of the football. I think that the pass rush from the Lions going into the Chicago Bears will be too much for Caleb Williams. I think the Lions end up walking out with a pretty sound victory, and the Ben Johnson era in Chicago starts off 0-2. Those poor Chicago fans, man. Let me tell you what. Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos, man. I don't know. Is Indiana Jones for real, folks? Sound off in the comments and let me know if you think Indiana Jones is the savior of the Colts organization. I mean, beating the damn Miami Dolphins 33-8, it should have been 33-0. Like that 8-point what have you was a garbage time score. I'm not reading too much into it. And the Denver Broncos, man, they disappointed me last week. I was expecting not only that defense to perform better, but also Bo Nix to perform better. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Can't have that. I've had Bo Nix as a guy that I have as a candidate for a sophomore slump. If the season were to end right now, I think Bo Nix would probably have that honor right now. I think the Broncos win this one, and so I do think that week 1 does need to be played in as a factor. I think this defense is absolutely incredible. I think that their pass rush is crazy. I think that they're going to bring Daniel Jones back down to earth. Give me the Denver Broncos to win this game against Indiana. I think that's where I'm at. What's up, the Bears TV? Hope all is well, bro. Hope all is well. We have the Panthers and the Cardinals. Dude, a lot of shitty matchups this week. Oh my God, man. Week 2 is not really as star-studded as week 1 was, right? Not many games I'm looking forward to watching. Thank God a lot of these are going to be after a Buffalo Bills victory, hopefully. But the Carolina Panthers, man, I feel like that I owe all of you an apology for hyping up this team, dude. I bought into Bryce Young's comeback story last year, but I saw the exact same Bryce Young that I saw prior to him getting benched in 2024. Like, he just looked lost out there. Yes, I can give credit to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yes, I can acknowledge the fact that the overall tempo of the game was disrupted twice with halftime and an hour-and-a-half rain delay. One can only be hopeful that this Panthers team can turn it around for the sake of the fans and for the sake of the future. Because if Bryce does not look like he did toward the back half of last season, things are going to get pretty bleak for Panthers fans out there. That much I can tell you. And the Cardinals, dude, Kyler Murray is bad at football. Like, he is bad at football, man. This is a coin flip for me. It really, really is. Still have questions on the Arizona Cardinals defensive side. I'm going to go with the Panthers to win this one somehow. All I can do is just hope that Bryce Young can go out there and, I mean, maybe we could chalk it up as an excuse to he needs to get used to some of the new weapons. Ted McMillan needs to go off. Maybe Hunter Renfrow gets activated. But give me the Carolina Panthers to win a close one on the road versus the Arizona Cardinals. Have the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. I got the Eagles putting belt to ass. Yeah, I got the Eagles putting belt to ass on this game, folks. I'm talking maybe a 2-score differential. I'm talking perhaps a repeat of the Super Bowl last year. Like, with no Xavier Worthy, with no Rashee Rice, I genuinely cannot find a matchup that I like for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially with Worthy out, right? I am not confident that Kansas City can pull this out whatsoever. That's kind of where I'm at. As far as Kansas City, I think that they need to have a lot of conversations. I think they need to be buyers during the trade deadline. I think they need to go out and get Tyreek. I think they need to go out and find somebody else that could help them out. I think their offensive line has taken a massive hit. It's worse than it was last year. And that offensive line was not good at all last year. But I have, and so I have the, oh my God. And so I have the Philadelphia Eagles absolutely putting belt to ass on the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sorry, Chiefs fans, for anybody watching, but that's just kind of how I roll, man. All right, dude, we have the Atlanta Falcons, Minnesota Vikings. Are we on the JJ McCarthy train? Are we, folks? Let me tell you what, dude. You know what? He did what his rookie contract pays him to do, right? Turn it on when all things seem lost. You need to be able to have a fourth quarter comeback in you, and the young man proved it. Not bad for a guy that has been out of football for about 2 years. Well, last game he played was the national championship with the Michigan Wolverines. First game in regular season, boom, leads them to a victory against the Chicago Bears. Shout out JJ McCarthy, man. It was very impressive. I have the Falcons winning this game. I like the defense from the Minnesota Vikings. I think they are regularly going to keep JJ in a window of possibility of being able to bring this team back in the fourth quarter more times than not. But I think Bijan Robinson, I think Drake London, I think as long as Michael Penix protects the football, I like Michael Penix. I certainly do. I think that he's still a rookie, and so I think that he still needs to earn his stripes. He made a couple of rookie mistakes last weekend. However, I do like the Falcons defense versus the Minnesota Vikings offense for the most part, of course, barring a Justin Jefferson mismatch, which I'm sure we're going to be talking about. But I have Atlanta winning this game. I do. I thought they were very impressive in their loss against Tampa Bay. And really barring a Younghoe Koo wide right field goal attempt at the end of the game, who knows? Maybe Atlanta would have won that in overtime. Give me Atlanta. I just think that they're a well more stacked team than Minnesota. Atlanta, oh man, who knows, man? Dude, you know what? Like, this is smelling to me like a 2-loss week. I'm not going to lie to you. Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Houston Texans. Folks, I got to tell you what, and the Houston Texans were a good story. CJ Stroud's rookie season, have D'Amico Ryan, first-year head coach, leads his team to a division title and a playoff win by smacking the Cleveland Browns. But I think that's all it's ever going to be. It's just going to be a good story. Not because of the ability of CJ Stroud. I think it is the incompetency of the front office for, again, refusing to build around the offensive line. They literally traded their best offensive lineman for what appeared to be a bag of Doritos and maybe a 50% off coupon at Subway. Who knows why they got rid of Laramie Tunsil? Like, one of your very few redeeming factors on the offensive line. I think that Tampa Bay absolutely bullies this line. I like a lot of their matchups. Maybe CJ Stroud is able to connect with Nico. I still think that Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel are still very inexperienced. I'm hoping that they'll be able to catch stride about midway through the season. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers looked good defensively last week. And I think that Houston is going to, again, for now the second year in a row, struggle offensively, average, like last year, I think they averaged like low 20s in points per game. I have Baker Mayfield. You have Emeka Egbuka, which is an absolute dog. I think it's going to be low scoring and annoying because Houston does have a great defense. I'm going to have to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but like I could see the game being like 20-14 or like 20-13, something along those lines. But give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that's where it's at. And then someone says Godwin and Wirfs set to practice Thursday too. And of course, you get to reload a little bit. So like that's something. But here we are. And then last but not least, 9:00 game on Monday Night Football. That's insane. That is crazy. Is this a 10 o'clock? Is this a 10 o'clock game? Like on the East Coast? I'm sorry, but look, I'm sorry, but I am in bed. All right. I will be in bed. That is my bedtime, ladies and gentlemen. I am asleep at 9 p.m. EST. So I'm going to have to wait for the highlights the next morning to figure out if I turn out to be correct. However, I have the Los Angeles Chargers winning this game. What I saw from Jim Harbaugh and how he has evolved his offense, almost all but switching his identity, because last year that guy just wanted to pound the rock, right? But then last week he was like, nah, dude, I got Justin Herbert. I'm about to absolutely smoke you with Justin Herbert. And that's what he did. I do not like the Raiders secondary at all. I don't. I like Geno Smith. I'm glad that he was able to make a statement and beat the New England Patriots, but this is a divisional rival. And this is one of the best defenses in the NFL. They were number 1 in the NFL last year for points allowed. I think that trend continues, and I think the Chargers end up winning this game relatively, I'd say easily. And so I'd say relatively easily on this one. So give me the LA Chargers to win this bad boy. Folks, if, for example, that y'all would like to take a look at like my over-under selections or my spread selections, my player prop picks all week, me and my buddy Jay Tuck, we have a gambling show on the Roundtable Sports Patreon. It's only available for Patreon members. It's $10 a month. You get an opportunity of being able to call in to Fourth and Forever, to all of the shows, bonus content of Fourth and Forever, that gambling show I was just telling you. If, for example, you guys want to check that show out, we're going to be launching it later today or maybe even Friday or something like that. Link is in bio for the Patreon exclusive. So many benefits over there. It's $10. It's basically 1.5 trips to Starbucks or 1.5 trips to Dunkin'. If, for example, you guys wanted to support us a bit further that way. Houston, Nick Chubb could have a good game, close game. I mean, yeah, dude, we'll see what's going on. Bills fan for life. Yeah, too late for me would be a fun game to watch. Yeah, dude, I'm sorry, but I'm in bed at 9 p.m. each and every single evening. Who decided that dumb Paul, pound the rock. So Jim Hardballs, baby. You already got that. Damn, my week 2 predictions. Packers, Ravens, Jags. I have the Jags beating the Bengals. That's interesting. Cowboys, Bears, Patriots, Niners, Bills, Steelers, Rams. Cards, Colts, Eagles, Vikings, Bucks. We are at a disconnect, Dexy Gaming. We are at a disconnect as far as thoughts here. But all right, boys. That's going to have to do it for another edition of your favorite morning show about the Buffalo Bills and the NFL. Guys, do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up sign. It's the easiest way to show love over on this channel. Subscribe and turn on bell notifications. I will be live on Roundtable Sports Fourth and Forever in just about an hour and a half, unpacking everything that's happening in the NFL. So do that for me. Hang out, and we'll see you next time. Love y'all. Peace.